Attorney General Maura Healey has launched an investigation against Juul, the largest vaping company in the country, to determine if it intentionally markets to minors and tracks underage use of its products. According to the Department of Public Health, nearly 25% of Massachusetts high school students said they used e-cigarettes in the past 30 days, even though many of them aren't old enough to do so legally. Meanwhile, the DPH has launched a new anti-vaping campaign meant to keep these products away from kids. I discussed this with Vito Perrone, principal of the West Springfield High School, and Hampden County Tobacco-Free Community Partnership Director, Sara Moriarty.
I think it's really important that people be educated about these vaping products. We've seen a surge in use of the vaping products, and I think that people still aren't really educated on what they are, the effects of them, who's using them, and what really is in them, and I think people need to be educated.
Okay, we'll talk a bit more about basically all of that in just a second. But Principal, I want to pull you into the conversation. You've been an educator the majority of your career, about 4 years here in West Springfield. What have you noticed about instances of smoking on campus with kids? Is it changing?
Well, instances of smoking, cigarettes and combustibles, very few in my first 3 years. But this past year, there's been a pretty big explosion in the e-cigarettes and the vaping on campus.
And so you're actually seeing kids bring them to school?
Very blatantly and covertly, actually, too, because they almost look like a flash drive.
Yeah, a lot of them can actually plug into the USB drive of a computer even, right?
Correct.
And so does the school have a policy about smoking or vaping on campus?
We do. Every school in Massachusetts has a policy on smoking and tobacco products. We've added e-cigarettes and vaping to it, and it's a suspendable offense, and we try to educate and communicate with students and parents about how harmful it is.
And so, Sara, these products, the state has a bill, the governor has a bill on his desk right now, actually, that would change the state law to 21 and over for any type of smoking, whether it's e-cig, vape, cigarettes. But right now, these products are illegal for kids who are under 18. But are you seeing kids younger than that using them?
Yes, well, they're very easy to get their hands on. So kids are buying them online, kids are able to get their hands on them in convenience stores or getting them from older kids who are getting their hands on them. They're very easy to get. They don't look like traditional tobacco products in a lot of cases, so
and
parents...
a lot of them come in these kind of candy flavors, candy apple, cotton candy. Right. What was the list? Grape jam, blueberry cotton candy.
In the tobacco world, we like to use these three phrases: cheap, sweet, and easy to get, and these are kind of our key terms. And a lot of these tobacco products fall in these categories: cheap, sweet, easy to get. And these are things that are geared mainly towards youth.
So do you talk with kids at school about the potential or why you think it's bad for them to be using them? Are they asking about it?
Well, previous to this, our focus has been on tobacco and combustible cigarettes, and that kind of had a stigma attached to it, and students were shying away from it as use was going down. I think in the mainstream it was going down with students, but this new technology, it's sleek, it's cool, it's flavorful, and unfortunately the students are getting it from peers, older siblings. We're seeing it at the high school and unfortunately at the middle school level also.
So do you think that kids don't necessarily think that the nicotine that's in these products is harmful to them? In society, we associate smoking cigarettes with potentially getting lung cancer. What do kids think about vaping and risk?
I think that there is a misconception that vaping is not dangerous, that it's not harmful. I think that it's really important that people educate themselves about the dangers of nicotine, and I think that people have traditionally thought that tobacco is dangerous, but people have to do some research about nicotine, and nicotine is the addictive factor that's in a traditional tobacco cigarette. And if people do the research, they will find out how dangerous nicotine is. There's also chemicals, metals, lead, tin, things like that are all found in these e-cigarettes and in that vapor. So people really need to do some research and get educated about what is actually in the products that they're using.
If I'm an e-cigarette manufacturer listening to this right now, I might point out that these are illegal for people who are 18 and younger. And also there's mixed reviews. There's a lot of mixed data out there about how dangerous or how much is too much.
There's no longitudinal data on what the vapor is going to do in the long term on a lung. There's plenty on combustibles. So students hear that it's less harmful and it's supposed to have been a cessation product, and ironically now students are picking it up that wouldn't probably have picked up a cigarette. So it's unfortunate that the marketing, the flavors are really appealing to our students.
And so right now, what do parents do? Where would you suggest that they turn to educate themselves, as you're saying?
Well, this new campaign is highlighting a website called getoutraged.org, and that has a lot of tools for parents. I think one of the most important things for parents to do is just to talk to their kids. Ask your kids what you're seeing in their schools, what their friends are using, what you're seeing online, and just have a conversation with them. And then sit down and do some research, find out what's in these products, and be vigilant. Look around. These things are very undetectable. You wouldn't know that you're looking at a tobacco product necessarily. They look like pens, they look like USB ports. So look around, look for fruity smells, just out of the ordinary things that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Be vigilant, really, and educate yourself.
Whereas before, parents might be looking for the pack of cigarettes.
Exactly, and smelling that smoke. Right. This is different.
And that's the difference in high schools and middle schools now, is that they can walk into the bathroom and the vape just dissipates so quickly. Even brazenly, they can vape in classroom. If a teacher's up at the board, it'll dissipate, and if someone doesn't tell that they did it, no one will know that they did it.
The smoke clears that quickly. Right. Wow, that it can actually be done in classrooms. So wow, teachers really need to be on their feet.
Yeah, and that, as you were speaking about parents and education, I was thinking about our faculty and our staff and education, and bringing someone in to inform them and help them understand the technology, how you can hide it, the effects of it, the smells of it, etc., so that we can be kind of a concerted effort against this in the schools.
And I know with this new DPH, Department of Public Health campaign, there's a lot of focus on educating the parents. Why not talk directly to the kids?
Right, and I think that there's also information on the Get Outraged website that is aimed towards talking to schools, talking to youth. So it's all on that website, and it gives you tips and tools for talking to both schools, faculty, youth. It's all there.
And our goal is to include our student leaders in a conversation about what we can do to stop this use in the high school and at the middle school, and use their peers to help inform, help educate, and dissuade students from doing it at school.
I think one of the other things that was interesting to me as I was doing the research is the fact that, while if you go puff per puff, yeah, you're probably getting more nicotine out of a cigarette, but there's a lot of question about how often either adults or kids are actually using the vape compared to they might smoke half a cigarette or something like that. Are you talking about that too? Are you looking at that at all?
Well, I think that raises a good question, and if someone is using a traditional cigarette and they're having to step outside to use it, or it's more detectable, so they might not be doing it in class, and you're using a USB port and you're able to get away with it in more spaces, then yes, you're probably taking in more of that nicotine, more of the vapor than you might be with a traditional cigarette. So that is something to think about for people.